You have another, these are brand new, I just took them out the box, I can rewrite. Okay, you ready, Doctor?
Yep.
All right, the time is 6:25, we're about to begin our particular meeting. Today is November 13th, Thursday. We always start our meeting with a quick moment of silence. This particular time, no one's opposed to a prayer. We're going to thank God for the opportunity of allowing us to come. We know that He's still in control. It does not matter what's happening. We pray for those that are challenged nationally with this crises of feeding, things of that nature, but we pray that we continue to feed people's mind as well as their body. In Jesus' name we pray. Okay, Dr. Dre is going to take us further after I do the roll call. Carmelita Earls, Chair of District Council, is present.
Dr. DeAndre Rudis, Community Engagement Specialist, present.
Counselor Winters is absent and accounted for, and we will go further. Quorum has been determined, and we will go to our next subject matter on the agenda. Public comment.
Next on the agenda is public comment. Would anybody like to say anything today? Oh, keep in mind this public comment section is for you all to be able to express your concerns in public safety or police accountability, whatever that may be. Doesn't necessarily have to be in this particular area of the community, given that we are near Howe School. Not exactly sure what the issues are around here, but would love to hear about those. And if there are other places you're from and there's issues that you have, please share. Also, I have to say that if you would not like to share, because this is an open forum, typically we have officers present. You don't have to. We also have ways that you can contact us anonymously and share your thoughts so that you don't feel any type of way of doing so in public. So with that, oh, and I should also say that this does help to inform how plans are made to increase public safety and police accountability across the city. We take this information, gather with the other 63 of us that are district council persons, and then we look at the trends across the city, figure out what we should do in terms of strategy. We give that strategy over to the commission, and then they set goals for the police department and our other departments that help the police department try to make sure they meet those goals. So, it's very important that you do have an opportunity to speak, but then that you also speak. So if there's anything, please share at this moment.
You look like you want something. You have something to say. Oh, okay.
Okay. Hearing that, or not seeing that any folks would like to say anything, I am going to press forward then. If you would like to say something later, that's fine. It would deviate from the agenda a bit, but that's cool. Our meetings aren't typically stringent and so structured that we can't allow back and forth. So with that, we're going to move to approve our minutes from our meeting on October 16th. I will go ahead and read out the minutes, and then we will make a motion to approve those minutes. So we started out our meeting by taking attendance and quorum. All three of us were present at the time. We moved into our public comment section, which focused a lot on neighborhood cleanliness and community engagement. Some of the issues that were reported is that there's an increase in street trash, and it's more visible when walking versus driving, especially around Madison Avenue, which there are several aldermen whose corridors lie on Madison, and what that does is create disparity and confusion over who is responsible for making sure cleanup is done in that area. There was also a concern over the effectiveness of having those 4 different aldermen in a particular district. So one area in the Austin community, there on each corner there's a different alderman. There's like 3 different aldermen, And so things like that, there's always a finger pointing that's going on just to add clarity to this particular comment. And then the other thing is just a lack of public garbage cans, and that's problematic. At one point, there were 3 on Jackson Street, and now there are none. So folks are saying that is a concern for them. Some solutions that folks actually brought up was to propose an ordinance or an initiative that can hold properties, businesses, and church owners responsible for maintaining their cleanliness. We can request for the return of public trash cans, and we should also propose to organize a collective alder night for all the local aldermen to jointly hear concerns and coordinate their responses as it relates to the trash. So next thing we moved to was to approve our minutes from our September 18th meeting. We all voted yes, minutes were approved. Next thing we did was look at district council member updates. Right now there is the Good News documentary that we're screening. That took place on October 18th at Spill the Beans. And then we did a violence awareness workshop over at the Rudis Center on the 18th as well. We did an outside event that focused on conversation and restorative justice practices, in which Fahim and Taproots and Ruby Taylor came out and had a great time with us, with the community. Also focused a little bit on the newsletter that I typically build out that covers our tribunal initiative, which I'll go through today. And then we talked about our quarterly Know Your Rights session. The last session we had featured attorney Wallace Hilke from the Consent Decree Coalition. He focused on how residents can provide public comments on CBD policy. The community focused on police gun pointing statistics, which are not currently counted as a use of force by CPD, but those numbers are rising in the last 2 years, and they should be counted as a use of force incident. And then we were going to think about some future sessions. We have one more quarterly to do in this last 6 weeks that we have of the year. And one of those sessions is probably going to focus on police decertification. And we're looking to bring Carlton Myers out to do that. We also talked about our discussion focused on how do we document, report, and follow through with complaints against law enforcement officers who violate folks' rights. We talked about this idea that police are in having to distinguish between police as policy managers and lawmen, which are the state police and the sheriffs. We talked about the procedures for safely handling stops, right? Being calm, being observant, have your document the details of the stopping officer, which is their badge, name, and vehicle markings. And then also having to understand the agency rules, the administrative process, and the use of insurance bonding for officer accountability, meaning if an officer treats you unfairly, you attack their insurance versus attacking their department.
Nice.
Some important facts that came up is that we need to follow up with complaints, not just with the department, but with the Illinois Attorney General, and make sure that you detail everything in writing. As I mentioned, you want to make sure you get the badge name and the vehicle markings, if nothing else, against the officer. It was advised that you should not try to escalate or fight during a stop, because the pen is mightier in this sense, right? So if you have a well-evidenced complaint, you capture everything, and you can place a UCC1 lien on an officer's insurance. And I forget exactly what that would do, but that is the process that you would take. It's called a UCC1 lien, and that's something that we need to be more abreast about so that we can figure out how to safely go after police officers. Last couple things here was focus on community empowerment, which is we have a right to record police in public places and their actions, and that is how we police the police. We have an importance of communal education on rights enforcement and systemic structure, which again, the Know Your Rights are geared towards folks' better understanding of their rights. It was a recommendation made that folks get a U.S. passport for status protections over state IDs, particularly when it comes to federal government / ICE activities. And then the very, very last thing is the process for filing complaints, which is to document all the facts, submit the principal report to the officer's agencies, and then make sure you CC your attorney general. Insist that all communication with an officer or law enforcement in general is in writing or recorded, and only firsthand testimony should be entered as evidence. We didn't have any votes to take, and then we declared our next meeting, which is currently taking place now at Howe School, which is 720 North Laurel. So with all of that I read, you have a motion.
Okay, Carmelita Earls makes a motion that we accept the minutes as read by Dr. DeAndre Rudis.
All right, I second.
Okay, any questions on the floor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
All right. So the next thing we will move to is our district council member update. So we are moving towards the end of the year, and there is not a ton to report. We had a great last event over at the Rudis Center. We did it on October 30th. That focused on domestic violence. So it was a really good conversation. Folks, really told their truth, if you will. And, we had some young people, some old people, and that really helped to, kind of get folks, aligned with one another, and just a human element. We all go through things, and we all get past those things too. So it was really great. So I just wanted to highlight that because it was a really good time. I'll go through this a little bit more in detail because this is important to the discussion we'll have as we continue to keep people informed about the tribunal that we are working on, which is no longer named the tribunal, but still it has the same concept at heart. But this is technically our newsletter for this particular month. And generally I wanted to leave some space so that you can get the full idea of what this tribunal concept is. But generally you'll have some QR codes. One of the QR codes will take you to a survey that focuses on how the community has improved in public safety and police accountability since we started in 2023. And it will continue all the way until it's time for us to retire the position. The other thing that you usually find on here is a QR code that leads you to where you can actually reach out to one of us anonymously. It goes directly to me, so if you have a concern that you would like to voice and would not like to take it to an officer, you can always reach out to me. Of course, I'll keep it private. It comes directly to me. The other thing is, just like what you see right now, these meetings are always recorded. And we have it on YouTube. This is on Facebook, but I'm going to take this off of Facebook and also put that on YouTube too. But I wanted to try going live because a lot of my other district council members are going live and we haven't yet. So this is our first time. So we just want to check and see how this is going to fare. But either way, our meetings are always recorded. So if you miss a meeting, you can always go to the YouTube page and see the meetings. The other thing is we are going to have one last Know Your Rights. As I mentioned, I am working it out currently with Brother Carlton to see exactly when he's available. We do these on Thursdays because those seem like those are the best days for folks to come out. And so as I work this through with him, my goal would be to have it on December 18th. I would say the 4th. Wait, the 4th would be 1, 2, 3. Let's say December 4th for now, but it could be changed to the 18th because the 11th is our next meeting. But right now we're going to do December 4th, and as things change or if I need to update it all, I will tell you. And if it's not the 4th, we're going to do the 18th. It's going to be at 6 p.m. and will more than likely be at the Rudis Center, and that is 5044 West Madison. And again, we're going to focus on police decertification. Carlton has written a report. It's called a decertification report card. He has gone throughout 49 states in the U.S., and he's done this all on his own. And what this report card is it allows us to understand how accountability is being handled across the continental U.S. And one thing that I can tell you that he told me already is that Illinois is right in the middle in terms of accountability. So we believe that's a great tool that the district council can use. Decertification is the process by which an officer, whenever they get into a position where they can no longer be an officer, at least for, let's say, the Chicago Police Department, and then they try to go to another department, whether it's Oak Park or the Forest or somewhere else right down the street, that process, decertification, would not allow them to do so. A lot of them, as we do know, they'll have some offenses in the Chicago Police Department. They will get their badge taken, and then they just jump jurisdictions, and now they're become an officer doing the same thing in another jurisdiction. Well, decertification removes the badge completely. You cannot do that at all. And so looking forward to learning more about that and how we could utilize that tool in our tool belt to continue to help community members that struggle in the area of police accountability. So keep that in mind. December 4th, Rudis Center. We'll do that at about 5:30, maybe start at 6 p.m. And we'll have Carlton Myers come out to be able to talk about his decertification report card. Other than that, yeah, I think that is all that I have for updates. Again, we're at the end of the year. Please don't expect us to do a whole lot other than wind down, man. Y'all know it's family time, it's the holidays, and we've been going strong all year. Oh, one thing I should mention is that we do intend to have a holiday party. We have done those every year since we've been elected. Right now, we are looking to do it as a day party this time because one thing we have not been able to do is connect with our seniors. And we want to connect with our seniors, and the best place to do so is at the police department. So we're going to have our party at the police department. We just got to work out the time and everything because we don't want to coincide with the party that they do. But we're going to do a holiday party / district council meeting with the seniors. Of course, all are involved, but we're going to keep you posted on that as well. It's going to be some point in December. So we're working on putting that together. And that's all I have.
I appreciate that, Councilor Lewis. Thank you very much. And just so you know, Sonia Macy's, the deputy that killed her in her home July of last year,
Oh, wow.
he was found guilty. So right now he hasn't been sentenced, but he was found guilty.
Oh, wow.
And he could face up to 20 years, and it's because of you taking a stand. Policing the police is a beautiful thing. I went to a faith-based sponsored social impact meeting, and I tell you something, when I found out there was like 9 pastors present, and the majority of the people present was their constituents. So we have to tap into the pastoral leadership. I know a lot of us are wondering why we are so docile in taking control of our own destiny. But the key is to tap into the ministers because the churches aren't empty. So guess what? We have to play with the ball that's in play. And while at that particular meeting, people brought up some very interesting things. They talked about the redlining was not for housing, but then philanthropy and things of that nature. You have a bunch of non-for-profits out here trying to do work. Has been doing the work in the neighborhood for years. Churches are non-for-profit. Been doing the work for years, but however, the funding has not been funneled through to them. Instead, a lot of large, big-name corporations, and I won't name any because I'm not singling anyone out, but I'm highlighting the fact that money changes things. And what we're doing, a lot of people are doing from their pocket. There is actually dollars available to make that happen. And the church has figured it out. So for those of you that are present, if you want to augment some of your particular funding and get the attention of people who sit at home with a lot of gripes but don't realize that it's their voice. Remember Sonia Macy? is the voice and the people that will not allow injustice to go unchecked. That voice will be the difference. They also talked about in that community outreach piece. Let me put my glasses back on. Why? One of the biggest questions on the floor. The woman was 89 years old. She said she didn't understand why we were so satisfied. She talked about the satisfactory. We're satisfied with accepting status quo. She highlighted the fact that this is a political year for a lot of our elected leaders, or should I say elected body. Not that they're leading, but they're sitting in the seat. So what better way to get what you need at this particular time? On the national level, we see that ineptness and the lack of courage, administrative courage, has created a lot of the situations that we have. And they impressed upon us to just get back to being not satisfied. You got to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. And right now, there's nothing comfortable about our communities. And speaking of our communities, I think we talked about this, 3 weeks ago, a young man was pulled over by police at Erie and Laverne. For whatever reasons, they gave him a pass. Within 40 minutes, he was dead. He ended up being shot 5 times in the head on that same corner. And now the family is wondering, what did you see to make you pull him over? And could things have been done different? So that's an interesting question. I have no idea. You're trying to now, I'm not be sensitive about my words. Are we saying that the police should have arrested him? And the mother said that maybe if they had arrested him, he'd be alive. So here's a question. I hear Dr. Dre going, What would even allow us to have that thought pattern? Instead of just taking ownership and accountability, not implying he was doing anything wrong, but let me just go down that rabbit hole for a minute. What would make us think that if someone else make us do the right thing, we would live? How about we just take charge of our own lives? You understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? But that was something that was voiced in open forum. So my question is, how did we get here? And where are we going from here? So I'm going to end that right there, because that really had me bugging. I see Dr. Dre shaking his head. He's been huffing and puffing. It's a thought-provoking question, but the interesting part about it is that's indicative of where we are right now in our communities. And I don't think blaming someone else for our actions is part of the answer. So that being stated, let me see what other notes I have here. We also participated in we tried to do an alternative to Halloween. We co-sponsored a haunted house at a funeral home. And,
oh, man.
Yes, at a funeral home at Pickett's Funeral Home right there on Madison, 5300 Madison, where we held one of our meetings, our press conference. And they gave us a casket and quite a few other things, and we had a ball. Put the smoke machine up. The kids did not want to leave, and I didn't want to walk through that chapel. So imagine, but they were having fun. So I'm going to tell you something. Although I'm not in favor of invoking fear on children, but they just had a ball, and I never would have thought that would have been the turnout. So it taught me not to prejudge, because I've never been a fan of Halloween. At church, they always called it Hallelujah. But you know what? Our kids are of a different caliber. So it taught me to open my mind.
Yeah.
So that being said, I'll end with this. Let's open our minds. Let's realize that we can make a difference. One person can change the trajectory of something, because I'm sitting here because of one vote.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I'm done, Doctor. Thank you.
All right. Well, I just sit in a lot of different spaces, and we keep asking the same question. And for me, right, as a business psychologist, I'm always about your decision making and your behavior. Nothing will change unless you do. And no one can change you You know, there's nothing that we can do. There's not any outside force that can make a person's inside change. You know, that's a total ownership, accountability, self-made decision to do whatever you choose to do.
I agree.
Man, I'm trying to figure that thing out.
I think that was her talking, but she
Yeah.
expressed it.
Yeah, I understand. But I mean, and I'm just talking about in general because it's not unlike that type of conversation isn't being had in multiple spaces. It's just, it's always, you know, what are we going to do? It's like, well, who's teaching people to govern themselves to, you know,
That's a good question.
personal responsibility and self-accountability means what to folks? Like, do you know what that means? You know, do you know that means you have the power to control your outcome?
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Man, we need to get, I don't know how we get there. We're going to figure it out. All right. So the next topic on our agenda is our discussion, which I just really wanted to focus on our tribunal here, right? So we started at the top of the year really wanting to figure out as a district council, what is it that we are going to put in place so that we can have a say into some of the issues that our community are having with one another, with the police, with other entities that, you know, may be unforeseen. And so we wanted to look at this from a cultural perspective. And one of the things that we decided upon is what many cultures do, what we had done prior to being Americanized, which was handle our issues amongst one another with a tribunal, right? And from then on, we set out to create something that resembled the accountability that the community takes on when itself is governing, not an outside entity. So first, we elicited the help of Marcia Thompson Esquire. She is a civil rights attorney. And we sat down with her to determine what did we need to do to see this tribunal concept come to life. And so she said, if you're going to do it, this is the things that I love the direction. I love what you're trying to do, because ultimately it is a mediation program. It is a conflict resolution program. It is a, how would you call it? Collaborative problem solving, you know? And so we had all of these different thoughts about what this would look like. And so Marcia said we should focus on the mission, the name, because when she heard tribunal, the first thing she thought was, man, it sounds like it's wrapped up in bureaucracy. It sounds very legalistic, punitive. I think people will not accept it. I hear where you're coming from with the cultural implications on it, but we're not in Africa, you know, and folks are not going to be too receptive to hearing that, because especially officers, if they have to be involved in something like this. When you hear tribunal, the first thing you think about is war crimes or something. So, you know, we heard it. So we had to figure out the name. Then we had to figure out, in order to have people sit on this tribunal, what kind of training would be needed. Then we had to figure out how to get buy-in from our stakeholders. And then if we wanted to expand it, right, the focus initially was police to community conflicts, but we also believe that we need a community to community conflict resolution model, because we don't have one of those at all. So she gave us those 5 things to do. So we took them, and the first thing that we did was took it to Beald's Restorative Justice Conference that they had, and we put all of we told them about our idea. We took each of these elements, these 5 elements, put them up on a wall, and we had folks workshop it with us during the panel that we did. So folks were you know, excited about this idea because there's nothing like it currently. But they had, and their input was greatly necessary and needed. And so they gave us all of their thoughts. We took all of that critique, the input, we put it into some themes, and then we started working to formalize what this concept would actually be. So with that, we took all of that information, compiled it, and took it to our district council meetings, the next 3 of them. Then we workshop them at the district council meetings. We asked the community members, okay, what are your thoughts on these names that we're given, on these training opportunities, this, how do we get this buy-in from the stakeholders that need to be a part? When we do expand, what should the expansion be focused on? And more importantly than anything, what should the name be? Right. So that is this 3-step process right here that I laid out for you. And now I'm going to go through what this thing what this thing actually will be based on all of the feedback and input that we got directly from the community that helped us develop the rest of this idea out. So first and foremost, let me tell you, this is a 3-member community justice alliance. Now, let's start with the name. So the name is not a tribunal, but it is a community justice alliance. Now, the DNA of a tribunal exists within this model, though. And when we talk about tribunal, we're talking about the cultural aspect where members of the community come together to oversee the issue.
Yes, all their own problem.
Right? So let's keep that in mind, because one of the things that whenever I tell folks about community policing, this is what I want to see. I want to see the community be able to handle its issues, right? And so our tribunal, while the name has changed, the essence of the community handling the problem as a tribunal does not go away, but the name has. And it's now the Community Justice Alliance. Last thing I'll say before I move on to the other parts, that is important too, because BUILD has a peace and justice center in it, and that gives us a really good alignment with their idea of restorative justice, and the fact that at some point we may have a peace court come to Austin. And if it ever comes, we'll be able to tell you more about a peace court, but essentially it would be a space where it would be a diversion from going to an actual court, and it allows for restorative justice opportunities right in your neighborhood. And it'll be helpful for our young people that struggle with whatever issues that they have that would actually send them to court. So if that ever comes, then we are right in alignment. If it never comes, at least we have something that can work, and hopefully we can partner with BUILD, considering we're the Community Justice Alliance and they have a Peace and Justice Center. Moving on, the mission. The mission is to build a beloved community where youth, adults, and elders work together to resolve harm, restore trust, and strengthen relationships. This tribunal provides a restorative, non-punitive alternative to policing that centers healing, accountability, and shared humanity. So that's the mission. The training that folks who would like to be a part of this need to receive. Oh, I should mention that the 3 members would be a police officer, a community member, and a district council member.
You did.
Did I? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So we're working that out. So as it relates to training to sit on this particular Justice Alliance, you would need racial healing and transformation. That helps to address the historical and systemic roots of racial harm. It also prepares members to facilitate conversations that acknowledge trauma and foster equity and empathy. You'd have to be trained in mediation. Mediation equips members with skills to facilitate peaceful, structured dialogue between parties in conflict. And it focuses on active listening, neutrality, and collaborative problem solving. Folks would also have to be trained in restorative justice practices. This would be training in a circle process, harm repair strategies, and reintegration approaches. This also helps to emphasize healing over punishment and accountability through relationship building. So those will be the training areas for folks that are interested in being on the Justice Alliance. Now, how do we get buy-in? So we talked about developing a broad-based stakeholder engagement plan where we involve the youth, elders, renters, homeowners, landlords, and community leaders from the start. We talked about positioning our police officers as partners and not controllers. We want to make sure that we engage the 15th District officers as active voluntary participants in the process and not as enforcers.
Nice.
Speaking of enforcement, one of the things that we want to see from this Justice Alliance is that a district council member, or all of us, if you will, actually hold the outcome. So let's just give you a scenario of somebody's bike was stolen, and we know the parties involved, and they come sit before the 3-member Justice Alliance. And the person whose bike was stolen was saying, you know, I just wanted a new bike. And then the person that stole the bike has to come up with the money to get them a bike. And if the money they can't come up with the money, then they figure out some other process, maybe working it off, whatever it is, right? The holders of that outcome would be the district council, because that gives us something to actually do and to be responsive to, so that community can feel like this process can actually work.
Nice.
So I wanted to make sure I say that actually gives the district council like a job for real. You know, not to say we don't have a job, but still, you know what I'm trying to say. Give us something to do. We want to be a part of community and police interactions in a positive way, and community interactions in a positive way. Okay, the other thing we talked about is launching a public pilot and share stories. So hosting open tribunal sessions to demonstrate the process. So as I just kind of went through an idea of what this could look like, expect some point next year that we are actually going to put this in practice.
Yes.
And we're going to record it for y'all, so y'all could actually see what something like this should actually look like.
Awesome.
Yep. So expect that next year. We're going to work on that, and we're going to have that for you next year. The other thing is we talked about incentivizing participation with tangible benefits, offering something like education credits, community service hours, diversionary opportunities, or even employment pathways in restorative roles for folks that are tribunal participants. Last thing we talked about is investing in visibility in education campaigns. So we want to promote this tribunal as a resource for healing and empowerment and not punishment.
Nice.
And then the last thing that we talked about in terms of expansion is when it comes to neighbor to neighbor, community to community conflict, we want to make sure that the issues that are addressed are noise complaints, disputes over pets, parking, and cleanliness. These are everyday conflicts that can escalate a situation without a structured resolution. So I'm sure there are more that folks would actually like us to attend to, but for now, those were the ideas that folks suggested that we start with in terms of expanding. And so that, in a nutshell, is the entire process. That is what 15th District is currently working on. It is something that, by God, before we leave these roles, we will have something working to be able to show community that over the last 4 years that we have been putting our pain in for the position, considering next 27 we will be up for election again. Those 4 years, we're going to have this to show that community, you know, that we've been doing some work. So that is anything that we want to.
Well, you know, I will say this: you have already established a staple, because what came out of the working product of that Tribunal for Community Justice Alliance one of the comments was something as simple as people picking up behind their pets.
Yeah.
So what we did on our block was actually put a zip tie on our fence with a roll of dog bags. And instead of hollering at the neighbors, they now come and take them off and use them. So we're seeing less dog droppings. So that little bitty idea
Yeah.
has blossomed, and now they walk down the sidewalk on purpose because they know if they forgot their bag, they can get one. So if we can make that,
I like that.
become
Yeah, that's good.
contagious,
Yeah,
that
that's
would
good.
be absolutely great. And that came out of the idea
Yeah.
here. So
That's
it's like,
good.
you know,
That's
it's
what's up.
working. It's working.
That's beautiful.
Great job.
That's cool. Would anybody like to add anything about this tribunal? How do you feel about it? Okay, y'all kind of quiet tonight, man.
Sitting there
Oh man,
smiling, you know,
Man.
You don't have nothing to say?
y'all quiet. It's cool. Okay. Well, yeah. So this is our tribunal concept. This is something that we've been working on over the last few months. I think at the top of the year we started. So we've been going on like a year now. You know, at least 9 months for sure. But it's been a work in progress, and we still working. And so we're looking forward to making it come to fruition, so that we can see something like this in our community. I will add that. Oh yeah, no worries. I will add that COPA, the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, is also working on a mediation program that'll probably run parallel. Now, their thing is they would like to put something in place so that with the police and community interactions, there can be that restorative component where police officers aren't getting, is it called commendations? Like, what is when they have an issue, what is their thing called, their write-up?
On the mediation?
No, like, you know, when police do something.
Oh, a good thing?
No, a bad thing. What is it called? Because I always say a commendation, but I don't know if that's the right language.
Well, accommodation is for good behavior.
It's for good. Okay, so.
An infraction can be written up on
Okay.
for various things.
Okay, well, let's say a fraction, because I don't know the police jargon. But so if a police officer gets an infraction, instead of it going on their record, it can actually it can not go on their record if they go through a mediation process with COPA. So that's something that they're working on. We would like to see a working relationship with COPA where we can handle smaller conflicts locally, and they could take on the tougher issues, right? And so that's our hope and goal. But there is a model being worked out with COPA, and they're doing theirs right at the same time as we're trying to figure ours out. So
I think you're trying to think of a reprimand.
reprimand. There you go. Yeah, I always say it. Commendation, but yeah, reprimand. That's what I'm saying.
Rip is the word reprimand.
Okay. And then I cut you off. You were going to say something.
I was just going to thank everybody to let you know that this Community Justice Alliance is because of you coming out to these particular meetings.
Thanks.
And you're sharing your information and you're taking your time. So to let you know that your voice was heard. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all. All right, well, you know what? Not going to hold y'all any much longer. So we have no votes to take. And I am going to announce our next... I can't necessarily announce our next regular meeting, only because right now we're focused on our holiday party that we typically do, but we also want to make sure that we get a meeting in specifically with our seniors. We have yet to really connect. It gets dark early, and they are not coming outside, so we are looking to partner with the CAPS office to do a day party where we can have a meeting with the seniors as well as party with them. And you're more than welcome to join us. So once we get that exact date, we'll be able to let you know when that is. Let's just hypothetically, so that you all can have something to hold on to. Let's hypothetically say that meeting will be December 11th, and that coincides with the cadence of our regular meetings, which is every 2 weeks on Thursday. And again, I'm not exactly certain on the time yet because we're gonna work with the seniors and figure out what they want to do. But we're gonna have a day party, and because we're working with the seniors, it will be at the district. It's gonna be at the district. So the next meeting place is what's the district's 5701?
Yes.
5701 West Madison.
Or 50, yeah.
50, it's 57. 5701 West Madison, you can count on that. December 11th, time, TBD, but it is going to be a day party. We're going to have the seniors there, and we're going to have one of our district council meetings going on. So with that, we can go ahead and close our meeting out.
Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Yep, I motion to end our meeting at 7:10.
Okay, it has been motioned by, and I second the motion. It has been motioned by Councilor Rudis and seconded by Councilor Earls. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
All right.
Motion carried.
Thanks, y'all, for tuning in.